welcome back to another video, guys. Today we're gonna do an at-home workout. I'm gonna walk you guys through my maintenance, aka my oil change workout, which is usually saved for Saturdays, but this week we've been really busy at the gym, so I did not get to it yesterday. Yesterday was more of a rest day and a calorie day where I just tried to eat as much as I could and kind of carb up and get ready for the workout today. So again, usually during the week it's more focused on compound lifts, more focused on heavy lifting, more focused on push and pull or legs or one muscle group or two muscle groups at a time. But today is going to be a full body workout. It's also an at-home workout, so I'm making this so that you guys at home can also do this workout. All you need is dumbbells and a mat for the ab for the core portion. And it's really just going to be some easy movements that you guys can do at your own pace and that can benefit you greatly. We're going to cover legs, core like I mentioned, and also upper body. All right, so we're going to go downstairs to my home gym. I'm going to sip the rest of this pre-workout, finish this up, and I will see you guys downstairs. Guys, we're in the home gym now. The first exercise that we're going to start with out the gate is going to utilize our core and our upper back in particular. We're also going to use the legs because we're going to be firing the glutes to maintain the position. And this exercise is going to be an upright plank row. It's an anti-rotation exercise where what we're trying to do here, the purpose of this exercise is to work the core, the legs, and the upper back. We're putting two weights on the ground about shoulder length apart. I'm going to go into the upright plank, make sure my core is tight, my glutes are tight, and I'm going to pull one weight off the ground. Keep my core tight as I pull and row. Make sure my wrists are straight, so the wrist that I'm on, I'm making sure I'm not curling it as I'm rowing the other side. And the most important part of this exercise, and the reason why it works your core so much, is because it's an anti-rotation exercise. As you guys can see, if I go to pull this left weight off the ground and let my hip rotate with me on that left side, what I'm going to be doing is utilizing and using my hip and not the glute and the oblique. When we fight against rotation, especially in the hips, if we're talking hips here, we're going to utilize and we're going to engage the obliques, right? So this is an exercise where you're not trying to let those hips come up with you. You're trying to keep your hips parallel and straight to the ground. So as we row that weight, again, glutes are tight, core is tight, shoulders are tight, pull it up, squeeze. We're fighting the rotation and we're engaging the proper muscles. And the reason I love this exercise is because it's a full body exercise. Again, we're going to utilize the glutes, the upper back, a little bit of the legs. It's going to give you guys a good taste of a little bit of an anti-rotational force. So when you guys go to these other exercises, we got those obliques engaged and fired and ready to help us out throughout the rest of the workout. Next up, we have what I call a core press. Short, straight, simple, to the point, a core press. We're going to be maximizing our core and fighting against going into a rounded back position here. We're going to hip extension. We're maintaining a tight core. We're going to press the weights up on the inside while keeping our front side and our back side nice and straight. So again, we're not going into that rounded position. What this is going to work is the front of the shoulders primarily. We are trying to keep that core nice and tight, so it's going to work that core a lot while we're fighting against that extension here of the hips, right? Because we're starting in a flexed position. My hips are flexed. Then we extend, and we're trying to fight from going into too much extension and rounding our back and using our back instead of our core and our shoulders. So when performing this exercise, guys, get your elbows up to about 90 degrees. You can already feel those front delts firing. Shoulder blades are neutral, core is tight. I'm gonna lean back until it's fired and ready to go, and then press the weights up straight, trying to get into almost full elbow extension. If you can, pressing the weights up straight, keeping your neck and everything straight and neutral, and you guys are gonna get a hell of a shoulder and core engagement exercise out of the core press. Next exercise, now that our core, our legs, and our upper body is nice and warmed up, we're gonna do a contralateral kettlebell lunge. You can do this with a dumbbell as well. It does not matter whether you're using a kettlebell or a dumbbell. I like the grip better on a kettlebell while performing this exercise. And the key points I wanna make here with this lunge is that we're going to kind of modify the traditional way of doing a lunge, and we're gonna utilize the glutes more than we are the quads. And what that means is, usually with lunges, people are taught that when they lunge, they're gonna let their knee come forward, right, where it's almost past a 90-degree ankle angle here. We're past 90 degrees. We're putting a lot more weight into the quad and actually into the knee itself. Whereas when I talk to and teach my clients, we're doing a lunge that's more focused on hinging than it is on just lunging and extension and flexion of your knee. All right, so what that means is, when we do a lunge, instead of, again, letting the knee come really far forward and having that ankle angle go past 90 degrees, what we're focused on instead is leaning over that front leg, letting your hips go backwards, so my upper body, my trunk's coming forwards, my glute, my hips are going back. Then as I go down to the lunge, I can touch the weight and I come up. So instead of pushing out of the ground with just utilizing my quads, I'm actually now utilizing my glutes and my quads and not just the quads. So it's more of a 50-50 split as opposed to a 90-10 split, or even, could be even more than that. And this is good for people that have any knee issues, knee tendonitis, and they say, when I squat and when I lunge, I get a lot of knee pain. Reason being is probably because your quads are overactive, and when you're lunging or even when you're squatting, you're in a stance that's very overactively quad dominant. So when we're doing these lunges, guys, again, you want to lean forward over your leg, let your hips go back so we have more of a degree of hip flexion, which is going to stretch out that glute more, it's going to fire that glute more. So again, as I'm coming up, I push to the floor, squeeze my glute at the top, and I'm getting a lot more glute engagement than I am just quad engagement. We're getting a little bit more of a split there, and when you start to get good at these and do them for enough time, you can even get more glute action, more glute engagement than you do quad. And so the point of the contralateral lunge is that we're placing the weight on the inside, right? So that right leg as I lunge, the kettlebell's on my left side, so that weight wants to pull you in and make you fall over. So what you're doing there is not just utilizing the glute, working the quad, but we're also gonna work the glute medius, which is the muscle on the outside that helps whenever we go into hip abduction. Because of the fact that you have the weight on the inside, you're naturally gonna go into a little bit of hip abduction because you're leaning into the weight, right? So my hip's gonna come out. So you guys are really gonna utilize not just the standard glute muscles, not just the quad, but also the glute medius. And also, as you guys can see, when you do the lunge, right? So I'm going on my left leg, there's a little bit of rotation, a trunk rotation. So not only are we getting the glutes, the quads, we're also working that oblique that has to rotate in and control our torso back to neutral as we come up and out of the lunge. So this is one of the best leg exercises if you can do it at home or you use a dumbbell or a kettlebell. And it's one of the best leg exercises because of the fact you're not just working your quads, you're also working the glutes and the core. And that's the point of a full body workout, is we're trying to get the best of everything and utilize all of the muscles to work together. Last exercise, and certainly not the least exercise, we're gonna target mainly the core here. All right, guys, all you need is a med ball. You can also do this with a dumbbell or a plate if you're desperate. What we're gonna do here is essentially go into a hollow position where our legs come off the ground, they're together, the ball goes overhead, we're going to shoulder flexion. Then we're gonna come up, bring the legs and the arms together, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a reach where I tuck my rib cage and squeeze like a crunch at the top. And that's where we're gonna get that core activation. So after you guys reach the top, what you wanna do is go slow on the eccentric portion. So as you're coming down, don't drop down quick and suddenly and hit the ground. The goal is for the whole time you're doing the exercise, whether it's 10, 15, 20 reps, not to let your feet or your arms or your hands touch the ground. And that is the goal. That is the challenge that I wanna challenge you guys with while doing this exercise. And so again, I'm gonna use a med ball. You guys can use a dumbbell or a kettlebell if that's all you have. What we're gonna do is go into the laying position here on my back. Ball goes overhead, legs are raised up. Bring them together and do a little reach at the top towards the toes. Squeeze like a crunch. Back down slowly. Come up and reach and squeeze. Right back down. And then right back up. And so guys, do anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 reps on that exercise. You're gonna target the rectus abdominis, which is the long muscle that's like a sheath that goes from the rib cage down to our hips. It's the big, long, essential six-pack muscle. You guys are gonna really use as much of that as possible during this exercise. So the middle, the lower, and the upper abs are gonna be on fire. Do as many as you can. Bite it on the way down, slow, eccentric, come up, reach and squeeze. And you guys will love this ab exercise. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like the exercises and the workout that I put together for you to do at home, please leave a comment, like, subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. It helps me grow. It helps me stay motivated to make more content, although no matter what, content's gonna keep coming. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.